Hi there, non-existent audience. Welcome back to part 2 of my Simpsons retrospective, where today I'm going to be taking a look at Season 3. Look, I just started a new job recently, so my upload schedule is going to be a bit wonky for a while. I'm sorry. I love this show, I like watching episodes, I like writing reviews, I hate editing. So I'm going to try to fast-track these a bit more. But without further ado, let's get on to Season 3. If you haven't seen my video on Seasons 1 and 2, you should definitely check it out because it only has 68 views. And so yeah, let's get it started. Episode 1 is Stark Raving Dad. Ooh, we're starting off the season controversially with a banned Simpsons episode. Now, I don't want to spend a lot of time on the controversy, so I'll try to make this pretty quick. Michael Jackson plays a character in this episode, and after his allegations started coming out, this episode was pulled from syndication in 2019 and is currently not legally available to stream anywhere, with the only legal way to experience it as of the time of writing at least, being on a Season 3 DVD, which, not to brag, but I own. Now, look, I am not a big fan of censorship. I think that we should be able to keep things that are now problematic intact so we have a time capsule of the past and learn to grow from our mistakes, and stuff like this just makes me really annoyed because so many people are missing out on a great episode. Also, The Simpsons has episodes starring a lot more problematic guest stars, and they're still up, so, hypocrisy much? Anyways, enough gross real-life politics, let's get back to the yellow guys. This episode is great. Homer gets sent to a mental hospital because he wears a pink shirt to work, where he meets a guy who thinks that he's Michael Jackson, played by, you guessed it, Michael Jackson. Now, I'm gonna be very honest. Michael Jackson used to be my favorite musical artist of all time. Sorry, Mike, MF Doom takes that spot now. So seeing an artist I love paired with characters I love does give me a huge rush of dopamine, but Michael Jackson isn't even the best part of the episode. There's just a lot of really solid jokes. Everybody at Homer's job treating his pink shirt like some sort of war crime, the entire mental hospital part, and Milhouse telling Bart, "You owe us Michael Jackson," were all highlights. This episode was actually a holdover from Season 2, meaning it was produced during Season 2, but it wasn't released until Season 3, but it honestly feels night and day compared to the rest of Season 2. I don't know if the team just tried to up their game for this specific episode because Michael was on board, but the dialogue's a lot snappier, similar to how it is in later seasons, and the animation is really good. Also, the songs in this episode are really good too, even if they are sang by an impersonator for contract reasons. So yeah, it's such a shame that this is so hard to get a hold of. This is a really good episode of The Simpsons, 9 out of 10.
Bubbles, it's gonna be a long night.
Episode 2 is Mr. Lisa Goes to Washington. Lisa's a finalist in an essay contest where she gets to go to Washington, D.C. and recite some words about how America's great, but when she sees someone taking a bribe, it ruins her opinion on democracy. This episode's okay. It's got a handful of funny jokes, my favorite being when Lisa tries to talk to the Lincoln Memorial for advice, but it's already full of other people doing the same thing, so she has to go to Thomas Jefferson's memorial, who immediately clocks that the Lincoln Memorial is full. I've also always wanted to try these meatloaf men. They look so good. The thing that really bugs me about this episode is the ending. So after Lisa sees the bribe taking place, she becomes disillusioned with the idea of democracy and changes her essay to be a scathing critique of America instead of a praise. But when the president finds out that a little girl has lost all faith in democracy, everybody in power swiftly and very unrealistically catches the senator taking the bribes and charges him in a minute-long sequence that can only be described as the Simpsons pulling down the US government's pants and going to town. And before you say, "Mesh, it's obviously satire about how this would never happen in real life and how ineffective the government is," it's literally not! The episode plays it completely straight without a hint of irony. I hate using the word propaganda because I think it's sometimes used very lightly, but this borders on propaganda. Besides that though, this episode is just fine. If it wasn't for the show giving the US government the sloppiest blowjob ever, it'd be pretty forgettable. 6 out of 10. Episode 3 is When Flanders Failed. Ned Flanders quits his job at a pharmacy and starts a store for left-handers. By the way, did they ever mention that he had a pharmacy before? I don't think they did. Anyways, he starts the store and names it the Leftorium, with Homer preying on his downfall because he's jelly. This episode's another just okay one. This is an episode where Homer gets to be a huge asshole, with him getting his wish in Ned's store family. But Homer feels bad, so he gathers all the left-handers we interact with throughout the episode to save Ned's store at the end, which, okay, it's pretty sweet, and that ending might be a bit cheesy, but I like it. Not much notable to say about this one besides the fact that the Leftorium and Ned's left-handedness are now permanent series additions. Also, in the first act of this episode, the animation looks really weird and washed out and the lines are kind of inconsistent. But yeah, 6 out of 10. We better not have another episode be a 6 out of 10 or else, gulp, we'll have a 6, 6, 6! Episode 4 is Bart the Murderer. Bart becomes a member of the mob and is accused of murder when Principal Skinner goes missing. This episode's alright. It introduces us to a fan favorite character, mob boss Fat Tony, and two of his associates, Legs and Louie. Fat Tony is such a hilarious character. So many Simpsons side characters are just one stereotype or occupation played to the extreme, and Fat Tony is one of the best Godfather parodies I've ever seen. It probably helps that he's also played by an actor from The Godfather. Joe Mantegna's devotion to playing Fat Tony is just astounding, with him having a quote along the lines of, "If Fat Tony coughs in an episode, I want to be the one to do his cough." He does not sound like that. Anyways, yeah, back to the episode. The mob obviously didn't kill main secondary character Principal Skinner, and the explanation of what really happened was pretty funny. And the prosecutors, who are testifying that Skinner was murdered, asking if Skinner's remarks could be stricken from the record, is hilarious. Not as good as Stark Raving Dad, but it's definitely better than the last two, so 7 out of 10. Episode 5 is Homer Defined. Homer saves the Springfield. Homer saves Springfield from a nuclear meltdown out of sheer luck and becomes a celebrated hero, but when asked to do it again, he shows that he's a fraud. This is another one that's just alright. There's this subplot about Milhouse's mom, who makes her first appearance here, thinking that Bart is a bad influence on Milhouse, and not letting them play together. It's resolved pretty easily in an admittedly pretty sweet scene, with Marge going over to Milhouse's home and talking to his mother Luann about how important the boys' friendship is. There's some good jokes like Magic Johnson's cameo. He's a pretty good aid to this episode. And Bart giving Milhouse a walkie-talkie and saying that whenever they wanted to talk to each other, they should call each other on the phone and tell the other to turn on his walkie-talkie. The joke is that it defeats the purpose of a walkie-talkie. I just wish this episode were a bit more consistently funny. Fun fact, this is the first use of the word ass on the show, but in the original script of the episode, both Mr. Burns and Bart said ass. The network censors at the time only allowed them to say ass once, so in the first airing of this episode, Bart's the one to say ass, but on all re-releases and reruns, Mr. Burns says ass.
She says you're a bad influence. Bad influence my ass. How many times have I told you never listen to your mother?
30 seconds to core meltdown.
Oh, Smithers, I guess there's nothing left to do but kiss my sorry ass goodbye.
May I, sir?
Ugh.
Pretty interesting, right? Oh, yeah, Aristotle Amadopoulos makes his first appearance in this episode. We all love Aristotle Amadopoulos. 7 out of 10.
I literally realized in the middle of editing that this episode's called Homer Defined because there's like a running joke throughout the episode of like when you look up Homer's name in the dictionary, it'll be like stupid, and then it turns to if you look up his name in the dictionary, it'll be lucky. I've seen this episode so many times over so many years, and I've never, I've never got it until now.
Episode 6 is Like Father, Like Clown. When Krusty comes over to the Simpsons house for dinner as a thank you for Bart helping him out in Season 1, continuity! We learn about his Jewish heritage and his estrangement from his father, a rabbi who didn't approve of him being a clown. This is a great episode. Rabbi Krustovsky, Krusty's father, is a great character. He's played amazingly by Jackie Mason and has some really funny lines.
I have no son!
Oh, great. We came all this way and it's the wrong guy.
I didn't mean that literally.
Bart and Lisa learning the Torah to try to bring Krusty's father back together with Krusty was entertaining, and seeing Krusty interact with Milhouse was so weird. That's just not a character combination that Krusty! Episode 7 is Treehouse of Horror II. This is the second installment in the Treehouse of Horror series, and also the start of the very short-lived tradition of Marge warning the audience that this episode might be too scary for kids before they gave up and stopped doing it because it was pointless. I think the only Treehouse of Horror that managed to scare me as a kid was Nightmare Cafeteria, but that's about it. If you were scared by a Treehouse of Horror that wasn't Nightmare Cafeteria, then you're a baby, a big baby. Anyways, back to the episode. The first segment has the Simpsons come into possession of a monkey's paw, and we see what they'd all wish for. This segment's pretty good. Kang and Kodos' board and nail monologue was pretty funny, and Homer using his last wish on a turkey sandwich when the entire world is enslaved by aliens is great. Also, it took me until this rewatch to notice that everyone, even the baby, gets a chance to make a wish except for Marge. And there's 5 fingers on it, so there's no excuse. Homer just gets to wish twice. I stand by the fact that the show had no idea what to do with Marge until like a few seasons in the future. She's just there most of the time. There's also a small bit of meta commentary about the show's real life success when Bart wishes for the Simpsons family to be world famous and everyone gets sick of them. The second segment is probably one of my favorite Treehouse of Horror segments of all time. Bart gets every kid, hell, every person's power fantasy, the ability to do literally anything. It's actually really unsettling and hilarious at the same time how terrified the entire world is of Bart, and Homer and him bonding after Bart turns him into a jack-in-the-box is pretty sweet. This whole segment is just really funny. Marge's delivery of "oh good, the curtains are on fire" has been in my head rent-free for years. Otto screaming how they're all gonna die when Bart drives the bus. And that ending too, one of my favorites ever. The final segment's hilarious too. Mr. Burns puts Homer's brain in a robot to replace his job, but the robot ends up just being lazy and dumb like Homer. Honestly, not a lot happens in this segment, but they're firing about a joke a minute and every single one lands. Burns complaining about how late it is, Homer getting fired, Mr. Burns humming "If I Only Had a Heart" when taking out Homer's brain, Groundskeeper Willie being Homer's boss at the cemetery, the way Mr. Burns says "the Booger Man," it's all great.
Frankenstein, the Booger Man.
Also another all-timer ending, comedy gold. I love this episode, way better than the last Treehouse of Horror, and probably one of my favorite Treehouse of Horrors of all time. 9 out of 10. Episode 8 is Lisa's Pony. Lisa's Pony is one of those episodes that reminds you why The Simpsons is considered one of the greatest shows of all time. Homer wants to buy Lisa's love back after ruining her talent show performance, so he buys her a pony, but has to take up a job at the Quickie Mart to help pay for it. Everything in this episode's great. I've seen it so many times, but I still laughed at almost every joke. Mr. Burns giving Homer a loan, the surreal dream driving sequence, any scene of Homer working at the Quickie Mart. It's all great. This episode is also where that stupid "my ding-a-ling" meme comes from, which I completely forgot about and completely blindsided me on rewatch. All in all, amazing episode. It also was the first appearance of Lunch Lady Doris. Woohoo! 10 out of 10. Episode 9 is Saturdays of Thunder. Homer takes a fatherhood test that proves that he doesn't know a lot about Bart, so he helps him build a soapbox racer. Now, following up Lisa's Pony isn't a task that I wish on any episode, but thankfully this is another good one. My favorite joke being how Milhouse says that they're finally taking away Homer. By the way, Milhouse has just been an all-star this season so far. Every single episode that he's been in, he's had at least like a few lines that I really love. Anyways, I got 2 fun facts about this episode. One you might already know and one I bet you didn't know. First of all, we get another McBain clip in this episode. And if you just stitch together all the McBain clips throughout the show in order, you get the full movie story, which is really cool. Even though in universe they're a bunch of different movies and not just one long movie, but Another fun fact is that the Fox censors didn't want Bart welding because they thought a kid would imitate it? Come on, Fox. So the showrunners had to fight to get it in. But Nelson, a 10-year-old boy, smokes a cigarette multiple times throughout the episode and they had no problems with that. I know it was the 90s, but still, the double standard is really funny. Good episode. Oh yeah, Homer references the spice rack he made back in season 1, in a show that constantly spits in the face of continuity. Callbacks are appreciated. 8 out of 10. Episode 10 is Flaming Moe's. This is one of the most beloved episodes in the show, and I have never really cared for it. Never outright disliked it, but whenever I saw it on the top of Simpsons ranking list as a kid, it always confused me. Have my opinions on it changed over the years? Well, no, not really. Homer invents an alcoholic beverage and Moe steals the recipe and becomes successful. I know this is a bit of a hot take, but I just don't really find this episode all that funny. The only part that really stands out to me is when Bart does show and tell with the Flaming Moe, but that's about it.
Are those liquor bottles?
Brought enough for everybody.
Take those to the teacher's lounge. You can have what's left at the end of the day.
Honestly, my favorite thing about this episode is Aerosmith. Not really their cameo per se, they don't have any gut-bustingly hilarious lines or anything, but one of their stipulations for being in the show was that their A&R guy, John Kolodner, had to appear and be given a special thanks in the credits, which I think is really cool. Good shit, Aerosmith. Besides that though, I'm not that big of a fan. 6 out of 10. Episode 11 is Burns Verkaufen der Kraftwerk. In this episode, Mr. Burns sells the power plants to Germans who fire Homer. This episode is definitely most remembered for its Land of Chocolate scene, but besides that, it's nothing special. The Germans buy the plant, act friendly, fire Homer, have 2 scenes of observing how dangerous the plant is and see how expensive it would be to repair it, then sell it back to Mr. Burns. I used to love this episode when I was a kid, but to be honest, I definitely only loved it so much because I thought the Germans sounded funny, so I laughed at every line they said, whether it was a joke or not. Another unfortunate miss, 5 out of 10. Episode 12 is I Married Marge. Here we have another flashback episode where we take a look at Homer and Marge's relationship around the time they got married. And unfortunately, I think I'm on a streak of hot takes because I don't really love this episode either. Bart and Lisa getting bored of Homer's story and playing croquet was the funniest and most relatable part of the entire episode because I'm sorry, it just couldn't hold my interest at all. Yes, the way the show portrays Homer and Marge's struggles of early adulthood are very realistic and their dynamic is cute, but at the end of the day, The Simpsons is is a comedy, and I did not find a lot of these jokes very funny. If I'm being really honest, I love Marge, but early Simpsons Marge isn't that funny a lot of the time. I think later on, the show deciding to make her a bit of a weirdo was a decision for the best, because a lot of these early episodes, she's just mom. And Homer is at his best when he's working off the series' amazing cast, but here the main crux of the episode is Homer and Marge's relationship. I feel bad that I didn't enjoy this one that much because I know it has its fans, but like I said in the last video, I don't really like flashback episodes that much, even if, like I said, the relationship is pretty cute. So unfortunately, 5 out of 10. Episode 13 is Radio Bart. Now, look, I loved Radio Bart as a kid. I'd watch this episode over and over, and I honestly have no idea why. All around, it's just fine. Bart uses a radio he got for his birthday to trick the entire town into thinking a boy named Timmy O'Toole fell down the town well, which causes mass hysteria and captivates the entire city. But when Bart actually falls down the well, no one wants to help him in a little boy cried wolf scenario. Like I said before, this episode's fine. There are a few good jokes. I like the We Are the World parody, the canary in the tunnel joke was funny, and I think this is the first time that they've done the joke, groundskeeper Willie looks fat but he's actually really buff. But besides that, it's nothing special. This episode is where that image of Bart crying that gets put over all those corny edits come from, so automatically points deducted. I'm surprised with how much of season 3 I'm just not that into. I know a part of it comes from the fact that I've seen a lot of these episodes a jillion times and know every line by heart, so I can't really be caught off guard by the jokes or anything, but I don't know, I thought I'd like it more. Anyways, 7 out of 10. Episode 14 is Lisa the Greek. Homer learns that Lisa has a gift for picking the winners of football games and uses her for gambling. This episode isn't great. There's no real subplot. The entire episode is about Lisa helping Homer bet on football games, and it's not super funny or interesting. Also, the ending of Lisa saying that the Redskins winning the Super Bowl means that she loves Homer and that them losing means that she doesn't love him was so contrived and stupid. 5 out of 10. Episode 15 is Homer Alone. Marge feels stressed out as a wife and mother, so she goes to a spa resort to calm herself down, leaving Homer in charge of Maggie while Bart and Lisa stay with Patty and Selma. This is another one I'm not that big of a fan of. It's just not very funny. Halfway through the episode, Maggie runs away to try and find Marge, and she's just returned to Homer a few minutes later in the episode, with nothing really interesting or funny happening in between. The Bart and Lisa B-plot is just your standard "aren't Patty and Selma gross?" joke repeated for about 5 times, and it gets pretty old. It's sweet how much everybody in the family genuinely cared about Marge getting better, but that's about it. 5 out of 10. Episode 16 is Bart the Lover. Mrs. Krabappel puts out an ad for a boyfriend in the newspaper, and Bart catfishes her through letters as revenge for getting detention. This is a really good episode with a lot of iconic moments. Edna's life is so fucking miserable, so you feel really good when Bart's letters make her happy, and you feel devastated when she gets stood up. The subplot's also great, with the family installing a swear jar after Flanders complains about Homer's potty mouth. Yep, this is where "I don't want any damn vegetables" comes from, and it's just as funny in context. The family coming together in the end to write a letter that lets Edna go without breaking her heart is great, and Homer's insistence that they put in that they're gay in the letter is really funny. Overall, this is an amazing episode, one of the best in the season, 10 out of 10. Episode 17 is Homer at the Bat. Mr. Burns enlists the help of professional baseball players to win work softball games, and hijinks ensue. I've seen this episode dozens of times. It probably borders on 100. No exaggeration, it's probably around 70. I loved this one as a kid, which made me really nervous to revisit it because I didn't want to be let down on rewatch. So what did I think? It's still amazing, man. Something I love about this episode is how free-flowing it is. In terms of plot, there's not really one to speak of, just softball games being played, which is good because it means there's rapid-fire gags non-stop. I love how the baseball players have 9 hilarious little subplots that make them miss the big game. I love Homer's little rivalry with Daryl Strawberry. I love the little parody song that plays at the end. I love how weird and monstrous the Simpsons characters look standing next to the baseball players who have very realistic proportions. I just love this episode. I used to play softball in the summer with my dad and his coworkers in their work league, so this episode also makes me weirdly nostalgic for just the sport of softball in general. One of my favorites not only in the season, but in the entire show. 10 out of 10. Episode 19 is Dog of Death. Santa's little helper gets sick, so the family has to give up things that they like to afford the surgery. This episode is just not good. After the surgery, the family's just miserable because they have to live a little cheaper. Santa's little helper runs away because everyone keeps talking about how much they hate him non-stop. He becomes one of Mr. Burns' attack dogs, and Bart gets him back through the power of love or some shit. I don't know. I don't like this episode. It's not funny, and everyone's just uncharacteristically mean to the dog, even though they chose to pay for the surgery. It's not like there's a good B-plot to save this episode either. This is it. Worst of the season so far, and I don't see it changing. 4 out of 10. Episode 20 is Colonel Homer. Homer becomes the manager of an up-and-coming country singer named Lurleen Lumpkin who starts to fall in love with him. This episode's pretty good. I'm not a big fan of country music personally, but the songs in this episode are all pretty catchy and it's overall pretty funny. Unless my memory's failing, I think this is the first time we get the plot a beautiful woman really wants to fuck Homer. It will be retread a lot in the show in the future. And unlike some of those future episodes, I can definitely understand Marge's anger and frustration here. If my spouse was not only spending all their time alone in a trailer with someone making a bunch of love songs about them, and that person was also kissing all up on them all the time, I'd be pretty pissed too. Good episode, 8 out of 10. Lurleen is actually crazy. She is a fucking home wrecker. Not only, like I said, is she kissing all up on Homer, she makes a song where one of the lyrics are, "I bagged me a Homer." That She wanted to mess up that household, Jesus Christ. Episode 21 is Black Widower. Sideshow Bob gets engaged to Selma and Bart suspects that he's trying to kill her. Like I said in the last video, Sideshow Bob's one of my favorite characters in the show. He's just really funny. This episode's another good one. It has a lot of great jokes like Homer not understanding Bob's plan even after it being explained to him 4 times and Bob's hatred of MacGyver.
Dad, when Aunt Selma lights up her cigarette at the end of MacGyver, she'll be blown to Kingdom Come.
Come again?
After trying 4 times to explain it to Homer, I explained it to Mom, and we were on our way.
And the twist actually was subtly set up throughout the episode and didn't just come out of nowhere, so that's pretty cool. 8 out of 10. Episode 22 is the Otto Show. Oh, like an Otto Show with cars. I literally just got that like as I was recording. Like it's about the character Otto, O-T-T-O, but it's with... Anyways... This is the first Simpsons episode all about Otto. After he gets in an accident while driving the school bus, he crashes with the Simpsons until he can get back on his feet. This episode's okay. The Spinal Tap opening was the best part, but Otto got kind of annoying and he wasn't really that funny. That said, I don't really have much more to say about this episode. It's kind of unremarkable. I'm being so serious about that Otto Show thing, by the way, like that. Anyways, next episode, 6 out of 10. Episode 23 is Bart's friend falls in love. You'll never guess what this episode's about. Milhouse gets a crush on a new girl at school, and Homer tries to lose weight by listening to a weight loss tape while he sleeps, but instead of a weight loss tape, he was given a vocabulary tape that gives him the ability to use big words. This episode's alright. There were some good jokes like the sex ed tape and Homer popping in every once in a while and saying some big words. Nothing amazing, but overall good. I know my reviews have gotten a bit shorter in the back half of the season, but a lot of these episodes have gently nestled into this little 7 out of 10 range, where they're not so egregiously bad that I have to complain about them a lot, but also not so amazing that I have to rave about them. I also try to mention fun facts and interesting trivia related to the episodes, but honestly, these past couple of episodes haven't had that much interesting trivia attached to them. Anyways, back to the video, 7 out of 10. Episode 24 in our season finale is Brother, Can You Spare 2 Dimes? Oh goody, a sequel episode to that episode from last season I didn't like. How fun! Homer's brother returns, being homeless and bitter and wanting to regain his previous success, which he does by just inventing a baby translator. Why not? Sure. This episode's bad. Mr. Burns throwing Homer an award show so he doesn't sue the power plant for making him sterile was the best part, and it happened in the first few minutes. I love Danny DeVito, but Herb is just not a very funny character. Pretty disappointing finale, which I think we've had like 3 times in a row, so 4 out of 10. Season 3 was a very mixed bag. There were some episodes I really loved, but there were also a bunch I was indifferent about or flat out didn't like. I wouldn't say it was a bad season, but I'd hesitate to call it like really, really good, which I know is a bit of a hot take in the community, with many agreeing the golden age starts here. Me personally though, I still think we have a lot of room to grow before we get to peak Simpsons. Still though, I'd recommend checking this one out. It's definitely a lot more consistently funny than the last 2 seasons, and it feels like the writers are really settling into this world with these characters and their personalities. But for now, thank you for watching, and the next video on The Simpsons is gonna be a bit bigger because I'm gonna cover what I deem to be at least the series Golden Age. So it's gonna take a bit longer to come out, but thank you for being patient with me and I hope you have a great day. Adios!